One thing you'll be required to do in this class is back up what you say by citing credible sources. In fact, a lot of your college experience from here on out will involve the citation of supporting sources. To ensure the credibility of sources, it's best to go a step beyond the standard Google search engine. One way to do this is to go to Google's special News feature. By default, Google News gives you the top hits of the day, the news that most people are reading. However, as with the standard Google search engine, you can type in your own custom searches. Let's say we're interested in researching floods. News results will appear from a variety of sources: local, national, and international. Let's go ahead and open one of these articles. Now, assuming there's something in this article that backs up what I want to say, or even better, something I've learned from this article that I want to cite, I'm going to want to give the article credit. For example, this article claims that dumping waste materials during construction into rivers is raising the riverbeds, which make them flood more easily in the future. Perhaps I want to quote this line in the paper I'm writing. If so, I'll probably want to put it in quotation marks. After all, these aren't my words, and I want to give credit to the person who the actual words belong to. But also, if I'm quoting the words of a respected source like Reuters News, it gives my argument more credibility. Now I'll need to collect certain information here. For example, what's the name of the article? Well, at the very top of the page, you see it has a name. So that's a good thing to keep track of right there. We also need to know, when was the article written? That information is usually pretty close to the title. We also need to know the name of the news agency. This information is generally at the top of the page, but it's also generally part of the URL. It's also generally helpful to know who wrote the article. This information too is generally near the title, often right next to the date. And, since this is a text-centered class, we're going to want to know what the URL is. This information, of course, is in the URL bar. Now, of course, we have to find a way of organizing all this information. The name of the article, the date, the name of the news agency, the name of the writer, and the URL. There are many standard ways of citing this information, but the citation format we're going to be using in this class is MLA, which stands for Modern Language Association. As you can see, there's a very specific order for all the information, starting with the author's name, with the family name or surname first, and the given name second, the name the person goes by when talking with their friends. Then there's the name of the article, followed by the name of the main work, followed by the date the work was published, and finally by information which is particular to print or web formats, which we'll see discussed below in more detail. For the news article we're citing, we're going to want to use something like this. Of course, our writer's name isn't Joe Smith, it's Nita Bala. So we're going to want to take this author's first and last name and put them in lieu of Joe Smith. Family name first, and given name second. Then we're going to want to use the name of this article. Then we're going to want to use the name of the news agency we found in our article, and of course the date from our article. Now you notice MLA gives the dates from smallest time unit to middle time unit to largest time unit. So we're going to want to start with the smallest time unit, which is the day itself, the 17th, followed by the next smallest unit, which is the month, abbreviated to the first three letters followed by a period. And then we're going to give the largest time unit, which is the year. Finally, we have to decide whether this is the paper version of the article or the electronic version. We already know it's the electronic version. And you'll notice that after the word web, we have to give another date, This is the date when we found the article, which in this case will be the 18th of July, 2013. And finally, we're going to want to plug our own URL in. And now we've faithfully cited this article. Now let's say the article didn't offer us the name of the author. In that case, we simply remove the name of the author and start with the name of the article. In other words, if we don't have Joe Smith's name, everything else just shifts over one step to the left. Books also normally start with the name of the author, but when the book doesn't tell you the name of the author, the second item comes first, the third item comes second, etc. In all cases, you'll mention whether you're using a print version or a web version of the work you're citing. Some news articles appear in both print and web versions. Now there's one more thing we need to do to make this right. Remember, I was taking Nitabala's actual words and putting them in quotation marks in my paper. This information I'm going to save for the very end of my paper. But right next to the quotation marks, I'm just going to put her last name, and if this is a paper source, I'm going to put the page number I got it from, like page 15. Or if I got it on an online news page, I'm just going to give the paragraph number. What is the paragraph number, though? Let's find the quote and count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Apparently, our quote is from the 9th paragraph. So, I'm going to say I got this from paragraph 9. These are called in-text citations, and they're very consistent. In works where we know the authors, we just give the author's name, and a page number, or a paragraph number, or a number of minutes, if it's some sort of recorded work. If we only know the name of the article, we put the first word of the name of the article, not the entire name of the article, and the page number, or the paragraph number, or the number of minutes, if it were, let's say, a video news clip. If it's the name of a main work, like a book, again, we have the choice between the page number, the paragraph number, and the number of minutes, if it's the name of a movie, for example. Here's an example of an entire paragraph. And here's an example of the works cited section that'll go at the end of the paper. The two refer to each other, so not surprisingly, when the in-text citation of the paragraph offers a single word, it is the first word found for a work in the works cited section. Now you notice the title of this work is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 16 words. However, only the first word is given in the in-text citation. Otherwise, it would take up too much room. The same thing goes for the name of this article. In the in-text citation, we simply see the word new, followed by paragraph 16. But in the works cited section, we see that the title is actually many words longer. And the same thing for the name Smith. The full name is Rocco Smith in the works cited section. But in the in-text citation, we simply give the surname, or the family name, Smith. The fact that these in-text citations are so small makes them convenient and unintrusive on the text. If the in-text citations were as long as these works cited entries, it would be very difficult to read the text and not get distracted. For example, if we had something this big in the in-text citation, it would be a considerable distraction. Luckily we don't. You can find this quick MLA style sheet in this week's module, included among the links with this week's lesson. You can also read the Purdue Owl for more details, and your textbook dedicates all of Chapter 27 to MLA. You can also feel free to email your instructor with any questions you have. What matters most is whether you're citing an article, or a book, or an image, or an online video, or a full movie, or a song, you give full credit to the creator of the work, and do so within an academically approved format like MLA.